Hey, Craig.
It's on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's on you, it's on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Take two.
Yeah, how's it going? Even though you just told me a little bit ago.
It's still going good, even though we tried to record. We were having some computer issues, so that's why we didn't crack our beers and pour them and all that stuff, because we already did that once and then had to stop the recording. I know, but you know, hey, here we go. Go Cougs.
But hey, what I do now, because we've already done this, is welcome to Podcast versus Everyone, episode 236. I am
We already
Craig
checked
Powers.
that.
With me as usual for the second time today is Jeff Newser.
Yep. Hello.
And Jeff, the Cougs are 1-0. Nothing more exciting to talk about. It was just a
Life
win
is
over
good.
an FCS team. Yeah,
Everything's
like
perfect.
whatever. Standard boring win
Yeah.
over an FCS team to open the
Yeah.
season.
Nothing to talk
Yeah,
about.
it didn't require any sort of last second field goals or anything to win. And
I know it's a real bummer
No,
when
not
you're a
at all.
podcaster and there's just nothing to talk about. So I don't know. Well, I don't know what we're gonna do, Craig. We're just gonna power through.
well, I will say there is always one thing people will forever and ever talk about. And I know from at least the moment I became a Wazoo fan, even like Matt Keegle, people were still mad at him for the Apple Cup the year before, and they were mad at him like how he played against Idaho that year when WSU won 25-0, and then the next year it was like Brink and Swagger, and then it was Brink and everyone for a while it seemed, and like you know, and it's just always it goes on and on. We had, and then we've had it with like, you know, most of the time. Well, then we had with Holiday and Toole, and it just goes on and on forever. We love talking about quarterbacks, especially
we
college
do.
quarterbacks, because they rarely are perfect, and so you can always nitpick something. But here we are. It's funny. I was hanging out with Jamie before the game on Saturday, and he says to me, you know, from what I'm hearing, expect some weird quarterback stuff. You're probably going to see more than one, and it's not going to be who you expect. And I was like, oh, boy. Who are the other quarterbacks on the team?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
whatever.
Like, I know Zevi. who are the other guys? Is the Jaxon Potter's name actually was floating around our premium Slack? So just to plug that for a sec, it was floating around for a couple of days. By the way, if you are not a subscriber to the newsletter, you should do that. Podcastversuseveryone.com. Enter your email. You get the newsletter. You get the podcast. You also get 1 or 2 newsletters a week that I write because I'm still psycho enough to make time to write. But, in our Slack, if you're a premium member, you get access to us and all sorts of other fans. And sometimes, Jamie stops by. And Jaxon Potter's name was floating around for actually a couple of days. Like, it was this idea, hey, I'm hearing it might not be Zevi. I'm hearing it might be. And to be honest, I mean, I don't know about you. I was, like surprised but not shocked in the sense that, when I heard Potter was the guy, I might have been a little more surprised if it was one of the other guys, if it had been Duggar or something, simply because like the evidence that we have is Duggar's not a great passer, or still developing as a passer. Like, we've seen Potter throw the ball. Like, he can throw. Like, we kind of knew that. We've seen him play. I mean, it was in, short spurts last year, but like the idea of him being the choice was not shocking to me. Maybe it was to you. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
I mean, it wasn't a shock. Let's be honest. Like Zevi, it's not like he had a ton of FCS experience, but he only had really one full game at WSU.
Yep.
He was very good in that game, no doubt. But he didn't win the starting job last year, and obviously Mateer had his own superlative attributes, but he also had his own shortcomings as well. And so he didn't win that job, and now he's new coaches, different system. But yeah, honestly, Potter looks every bit the part. He's got an arm, he can throw, he's big, very traditional, like sized WSU quarterback, 6'5", 205, just a big dude. And he definitely showed off. He has an arm multiple times in the game, a couple times overthrowing a receiver, but the one touchdown he threw was a hell of a fucking throw. That's not an easy throw to make, especially since you're giving him a one option play. The defense can read it. He's got to throw it in there. And he made a great throw, great catch, and it turned out to be the only touchdown they would score in the entire game, which by the way came on a 4th and 3. So
how about that?
Cheers to going for it. But yeah, like it was, he obviously the offense was struggling, and he wasn't making a lot of big plays, but he also wasn't like, he did miss one. They had a real nice play drawn up, and he kind of was. It was kind of a in between throw. He had to hit. The guy was wide open, and he airmailed it. But I think that was his first incomplete of the day, and but he wasn't like killing them. What was killing them is they couldn't run the ball, at all. Yeah, that was that was why they couldn't move the ball. It's because this team that was built as being able to run the ball
couldn't at all.
They couldn't run the ball against Idaho, and you're like, look, you're like, what the hell are we doing? Like you're thinking, like Idaho's got these little defensive linemen, like we could push them over. No, like could not run the ball. Yeah. So they bring out Duggar in the second half to get that run game going, and that doesn't work. Like his runs go nowhere. He did have a near, almost made a play on a scramble once. He did. His rushing yardage is a little killed by that snap over his head. But overall, like he did not. WC didn't move the ball at all when he was in the game, like not at all. And they only had him throw the ball once. And it seems like Idaho was like, yeah, he's not going to throw the ball, and we don't care if he does. And I don't know how much they could have possibly known about him, but it was. I mean, and then Potter came back in, and great final drive to win the game. Obviously, the guy you'd want in there for that, because he'd be throwing the ball. You got to throw the ball. There's less than 2 minutes left. But he looked poised. He didn't look rattled in that moment. He checked down to make some plays a couple times on that drive, because Idaho was playing in prevent. That last one that put him to Pulalasi and put him in the field goal range was huge to get to find that guy, your outlet. They knew they still had timeout, and so he knew he could do that. It was interesting how they did that, use that timeout, because the clock was stopped. They ran up, spiked it, clock was stopped, 8 seconds left, and obviously they're thinking about running another play, see if they can get a few more yards. And then probably thinking about how they fumbled the ball earlier, and we're like, nah, let's just kick the game, the kick for the game right now. And they did, and thank goodness they did. But overall, I mean, when you're looking at this game, like I don't think you can sit here and go like, oh, big quarterback controversy based on how the two quarterbacks played. But obviously there is who the quarterback is, at least for full time, is not set in stone. And obviously they have other ideas on how they want to use other quarterbacks beyond Potter.
I think that at Washington State University, like quarterback is a big deal. Not that it's not a big deal at other schools, but we have a really long, rich tradition of really excellent quarterbacks, and we have a really high standard for quarterback play, which I think it kind of cuts both ways. Like on the one hand, sure, we should have a high standard. On the other hand, it's like I think a lot of our fans don't watch a lot of college football, and there are some really horrible quarterbacks out there. And it's like, if you asked, random fan what they thought Potter's completion percentage was on Saturday, I don't know how many of them would say the correct answer, which is 77%, and not like 77% at like 4 or 5 yards per attempt, like 77% at like 6.8 or 6.7 yards per attempt, which isn't a lot. Like you want to be more up towards like 8, but it's like, that's also not like horrible. It's maybe like below average-ish, right? What you want to see for an explosive passing game. Obviously it changes if he hits the one pass that he overthrows to Meredith along the sideline. Meredith very well. If he hits him in stride, he might have been gone.
Yeah.
But it's like, I thought he was, for a guy with no real prior college quarterbacking experience, to perform like he did, 24 of 31, 209, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 77% completion, game-winning drive at the end, which was quite honestly flawless, right? Like, I mean, truly, he did not have an incompletion, and they checked to one run, which I mean, might have been our longest run of the day. It was 9 yards or something, so it's like, I thought he was really, really good. And people who were like calling for Eckhouse during the game, oh, we're Eckhouse. I'm like, well, what's he going to do different? I mean, it's not like Potter was taking sacks where you think Eckhouse might scramble away. Really, you're just like, I don't know, man. Like, what are you going to do? Like their play calling was weird because it was run, pass, run, pass. And so these third and long.
Yeah, he wasn't exactly put in the easiest positions.
Yeah. And then when they finally were like, okay, well, let's just pass, third drive, it was like bang, 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 right down the field, touchdown, right? I mean, not obviously fourth down conversion to get it in the end, but, he was really, really good on that drive. So, I think that Potter gives them everything that they're looking for. I think that Rodgers has been trying to praise what Potter does well without sort of dumping on Zevi, which I totally understand. But I having seen the offense a little bit, I can kind of see why maybe Zevi's not their choice. Like when we were running an air raid-ish offense, I could kind of see it. Ball gets out of his hand quick, not a super strong arm, but he's pretty accurate. But deep ball, maybe, not ever really going to be his strength, things like that. And then kind of hearing Rodgers talk about like, hey, these are the things that stood out in camp. He took care of the ball. He, ran the 2-minute offense really well. He did, all these things. I'm like, like Zevi, even in the bowl game when he was pretty damn good, like threw 2 interceptions, right? So I kind of could see where he was coming from. And I think, I kind of feel bad for Zevi. It's just kind of a bad, unfortunate circumstance for him that, they change coaches and the scheme maybe isn't fitting what he does well. But, Potter didn't show me anything that would lead me to think, oh yeah, this kid can't do this, or this kid was the wrong choice, or he shouldn't be the starter against San Diego State. Yeah. I thought he showed himself really well. Yeah.
I'm curious where you're seeing 24-31. I'm seeing 23-30. It's for 208.
So I'm looking on the stat broadcast, the official stats from the school, but also I've seen on like CFB stats, I've seen the 23 of 30. So
I'm actually the PDF post game stats say 23 of 30.
Do they? Okay,
yeah.
Now I'm looking at the final book. Maybe they corrected something.
Yeah. I wonder, which is really weird. Maybe there was like I don't know, but the stats seem the same. I don't know what happened there.
Well,
but
they are, humans do these things, and sometimes they assign something to the wrong person. And
I remember
anyway,
our buddy Mark, who used to write for Coug Center. He also, right out of college, interned at ESPN, and those ESPN gamecasts, they would literally have the interns watching the games on TV and
Yep.
putting what they think the stats were. So sometimes those in-game stats, I mean, the stat broadcast one's going to be a little more reliable than that because they have spotters and stuff. But yeah, like those in-game stats sometimes don't stay the same. But anyway, so
game
yeah,
one too. Like, that's the other thing.
It's
game one for everyone.
They passed as well as you could expect. I think almost 7 yards in attempt, and not turning the ball over, and then being able to actually generate a game-winning drive when it was necessary. That's what you want. That's what you were expecting from this passing game, is just move the ball when you need to, and don't give it away. And we're not used to that. We're used to passing, 30 times. Still actually felt like a lot for this team, but 30 times at Wazoo is nothing. Throwing the ball 30 times is nothing.
That's an Anthony Gordon half.
Yeah, exactly. Connor Holiday threw 89 times in a game once.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a little bit of adjustment period. But I would have expected more in the ground game, and that was non-existent. Yeah. That was really frustrating. And when you add in that bad snap, they have the college rushing yards. It's like a net. Was it 2 yards?
3,
but not really.
3, Craig.
3 yards. 3. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
But really, there was no one that ran the ball had like regular success. Mm-hmm. Voorhees had one nice run, the only run that was over 10 yards.
Yep.
And then the rest of his runs were nothing to write home about. Johnson struggled mightily to get anything going. Obviously, when Duggar was in there,
10 attempts and negative yards, like that's really
that's
hard
nuts.
to do, man.
10 for and he had a 5-yard run.
Yeah.
So that means the other 9 were negative 9 yards. And so that was just that was rough to watch. And then obviously they brought Duggar in to try to get things going. Even without that snap over his head, he still had several negative rushing plays. Mm-hmm. Was definitely not putting them in any. There was not totally his fault. He was just getting swarmed.
Yeah.
He was not. They're not putting in any sort of situation to like convert their downs at all. Like the drives that he was in, it was just like, okay, this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so when you see the consistency across runners, and obviously if you're watching with your eyes, like there's a massive run blocking problem going on.
Idaho was just they were in the backfield on every play, man.
Yeah. The offensive line struggled. And, I've heard talk about maybe, Rodgers and his staff have some, blocking schemes that they're going to have, that are adapting to. They're not, and obviously they haven't figured them out yet. And so that's our hope, that things get better, because if Idaho's defensive line is just crushing you like that, that was not fun to watch. I really thought we were going to run over them. And I honestly thought we were going to bust a couple big runs. I thought that's why, I predicted like 31 points in this, because I really thought they were not going to be able to shut down WSU's running game. Mm-hmm. But couldn't be more wrong there. Like even Mike Leach's worst rushing outputs, with all the 5 quarterback sacks included, rarely touched 3 net yards, Yeah. And this is 3 net yards with only one like actual kind of sack in there. Right. And so this is just, I mean, if you take out if you're just doing take out the quarterback runs, just the running back runs were 16, 16 for 14 yards.
Yeah.
16 for 15 yards. 16 carries for 15 yards when running backs ran the ball.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah. I think the big question, of course, is like, how, like, is this fixable? Is this impossible? Are we just screwed and doomed?
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah. And I think that, obviously our Coug tendencies are going to be to, figure out think that we're doomed. But, listening to Rodgers, not after the game, because after the game, their, coaches are like, hey, I don't know. I got to look at the tape, right? They always say that. After that, when Rodgers talked on Monday, he sort of ascribed it to a number of different things, but it's honestly, it sounded like the mental side of the run game was a total shit show, is what it sounds like. I mean, he didn't use that word, but that's what he described. He described miscommunications. He described not properly counting how many guys were actually in the box, not getting in the right play for what they were seeing, things like that. Just to kind of backtrack for a sec, if we do see Zevi at some point, I think it'll be more because of that than about anything in the passing game. Because he did not, Rodgers did not specifically call out Potter on that, but he definitely alluded to the quarterback needing to be on point all the time with his decisions. And I was like, like that's, you can kind of put two and two together there. And see that. So I think that's part of it, but also I think it sounded like just, I mean, obviously I did not play offensive line at a high level at all. I was a backup offensive lineman on a really horrible high school football team. However, I do know that when athletes are spending more time thinking than doing, like they can look way worse than they actually are. And like we know that Brock Dew, the center, is a capable blocker. Like we know that, and he was sort of consistently like not like kind of getting blown up or whatever. So I kind of wonder, like, to me, I would guess that going into this week, they maybe try to simplify some things. Maybe they tried to bite off a little more than they can chew, because it seemed like we're really trying a lot of different stuff in this game. Again, like I said in the newsletter, trying to figure out what they got. And I think what they figured out is the offense does not have a firm grasp on how they want this, running game executed and implemented. And I don't think you can fix that in a few days. What I think you have to do at that point is sort of scale back, simplify. That's what I would guess the approach is, to allow them to have their athleticism shine through.
Yeah, and I'm curious. So Rodgers says, implies that there's some quarterback decision making. So are we talking about when he's getting to the line and helping set up, like maybe making some like line blocking audibles? Like is he, is he supposed to set them up? Like, oh, you're like, he's calling out who's got what? Cause I that's just as me not knowing what you mean by that. Cause what's the quarterback decision making have to do with the runner, like the guy blocking?
Yeah. I
know that happens, but were they letting, was that on Potter? Cause obviously with the air raid, we know that, like Mike Leach's air raid, we know that every single run that was called was the quarterback's decision, but that is not the case here. And so this is just my air raid mind trying to grasp what's going on.
I mean, all I can do is sort of like try to interpret what it sounded like he was saying. To me, it sounded like he was saying it's up to the quarterback to get him in the right play. And that might mean, and now this is me sort of extrapolating, that might mean like, okay, the run was supposed to go over here, but based on what we're seeing now, the run should go over here, like something like that. That was kind of the way I interpreted it. And then it sounded like some of the he kept saying like miscommunications. There was miscommunications. To me, that would indicate miscommunications along the line, right? So where the center is the one who sort of makes the calls about who's doing what or whatever. It sounded like maybe there was some miscommunication there as well, which was causing guys to be late to their blocks. He said there was confusion over who was supposed to block whom on some plays, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, but I will say, if you're transitioning to an entirely
were there wristbands involved?
Yeah, I mean, if you're transitioning to
wrong
an
wristband.
entirely new running scheme, there are going to be totally different rules for how you figure out who you're supposed to be blocking. And again, you're doing more thinking than doing, and that again can make you really slow. And then if you're slow, you're off balance, you're thinking, you're pushed into the backfield, whatever. So I kind of just got the sense that this was honestly just a lot of growing pains. And I think that, Rogers made a good point also that the pass blocking was great, right? And they had really, so he sort of chalked that up to, hey, we got some guys here who are probably more familiar and more comfortable doing that. And so to me, that says it would be hard to believe that you can pass block like that while also being that horrendous at run blocking if it's simply talent. Like that to me, it's like those two things would not necessarily be compatible. They were really good in pass pro. They were really horrible in run blocking. I think you can coach up the run blocking by taking care of some of those mental errors.
Yeah, pass pro is more about talent and feet, and there's no really you're doing it doesn't matter. Every pass you're doing the same thing. Like the left tackle is there's no one's pulling or anything unless it's a screen pass or something. Yeah. But yeah, running is where the thinking is. That's where they have to. Am I going to the guy to the left, guy to the right? Am I pulling, going outside, whatever? But pass pro, yeah, you're just being like, I'm a big dude. You're not getting by me. My feet are too quick. That's that's what that's about. And so, that's why Leach loved repetition so damn much. But yeah, so obviously the offense, the running game really killed any chance of a big offensive game against Idaho. It was just so bad. It was miserable to watch in person. I can only imagine online too.
Thank goodness I was on my couch.
On TV as well. Yeah, it was like oh my gosh, and I'm paying. I'm getting I got 2 Old Crimson in the first half, 2 in the second half, $23.74 for 2 Old Crimsons in the stadium, which is I hope the collective is getting a lot of that money.
I hope so too.
Well, at least someone is.
Someone is.
I don't know, because
some distributors.
I know we saw some prices on something, for the potential concourse beers, and Old Crimson was definitely not that much. So I was a bit surprised but so yeah, I limited myself to just $10 per half.
for a 12-ounce can. That's Climate Pledge prices, man.
Yeah, I know, because even the 12-ounce cans at Lumen and T-Mobile are like $5 to $7.
$5 and $6.
Typically
They're 5 and
to
$6.
$7. Yeah. And so yeah, I was a little. Because I was a little surprised, but of course I was like, I'm fucking drinking Old Crimson in Martin Stadium.
Man.
This is all I wanted last year,
for the kids.
And then I kept hearing that it couldn't happen because of beverage contracts, and then here we go, we got it. So
we got it.
I'm really happy that I could. Really good pictures. You get picture your Old Crimson, legal Old Crimson. I'm sneaking in.
Right.
But yeah, so obviously though the Cougs didn't lose. Thankfully for that last second drive, but most thankfully for a defense that, aside from one long, very long, very plodding touchdown drive from Idaho, which required them to execute every third down and some fourth downs. That was the only drive where they scored a touchdown. The other one, the only other points they scored, the defense was put back inside the 10 after a fumble, and so they really showed out. Yards per play look amazing. It was really
yards per attempt.
Yeah, yards per attempt is oof, they did nothing. Let me go back. What was it? It was
33 yards on 20 attempts.
And 20 attempts. Yeah,
less than 2 yards per attempt.
That's crazy, man.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Obviously, that quarterback did give us some hell with his feet. So that's your area of improvement. I think you said it in the chat. Like they've got to get better at what'd you say?
I called it pass rush integrity. It's basically
pass
just
rush integrity.
you can't just run upfield. You got to hold a spot so that the guy doesn't get loose. And Idaho probably has a scheme for that as well, to sort of push guys to a certain area to kind of open up a running lane if Wood can take off, I imagine. But that happened, a number of times, right, where our guys are kind of getting upfield, but they're getting upfield in a way that allows Wood a place to escape. So I think that's the sort of thing that'll get fixed. But if that's the worst we can say about him, you let the quarterback escape for a handful of runs. I mean, he did end up with over 100 yards rushing, but again, it was, it was not like game-changing, game-breaking, super explosive running. It was, he'd scramble for 7, 8, 9 yards, and then we'd stuff another run. And, and he did a good job avoiding sacks too. There were a couple times where we brought a blitz and he was under pressure, and, he got rid of it. It was incomplete, but he got rid of it. Didn't take a sack. So, credit to him for that. But I mean, the defense was just absolutely nails. The linebackers to me were really the most impressive. Parker McKenna was great. Caleb, I believe it's Francel, was really incredible. And then just the way, Ryan Leaf pointed out about 36 times, but the way that the defense rallies to the ball, honestly, I can't recall seeing that amount of dedication to running to the ball since maybe 2017, right? Like where they had that really great defense. And honestly, that's kind of what Idaho looked like on their defensive line. Looked like they had Herc over there, which they definitely did not. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, linebackers, really, really good. Just seemed like they were very disciplined. And unlike the offensive line seemed to be struggling with, moving. And again, the offensive line, I don't think any of those guys came from San Diego State. South Dakota State, or maybe one did. So it's brand new to them. Yeah. But on defense, we had a number of guys who came over from South Dakota State. Jimmy Rogers, obviously a defensive coach. They looked like they knew exactly what they were doing, and that part made me feel great. Our defensive line still looked like, maybe a little on the small end. Connor Lamb's a big dude, but little on the smallish end. So I'm curious to see how that shakes out against a team that's got more size up front on the offensive line. But I mean, it's take nothing away from them. They were awesome.
And in the end, Idaho 221 yards, 3.5 yards of play, or 3.4 yards of play. Probably one of the things. The defense was just having to come up big early in the first half because they were getting put in tough situations. They obviously did give up a little bit of a drive to start the game, but the offense was not helping, and the punting, the first couple punts were real bad. We have not had to contend with that in quite some time. That was like whoa. Like we even saw a quarterback punt. It's a whole new world. But like the first couple of punts, just I think the first one went 28 yards. So Idaho was just like set up in WSU territory. They did not score. In the end, Harris averaged 35 yards a punt, that's low. Like that's
really low.
Not what you're looking for, especially because he was not doing a coffin quarter punts. Like he had plenty of punts where he was just needing to let it rip. Yeah,
just shanking.
So they're definitely gonna need like better punting, be and never punt. But if you're going to punt better,
be better for sure.
Because they're almost like no one wants to return punts anymore. The coaches are like so afraid of the possibility of the fumble and all that. So if you just boot that ball, they're just gonna fair catch it.
Well, most punters are good enough now that it's pretty tough to catch a punt and run. Like they're good at punting it in a way that makes it really, really tough to actually return a punt. Mostly it's just about catching it. Not our guy though yet. Sure, he'll be great. But if
But
we're talking
other than
kickers,
that-
let's talk about the guy who made the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, he hit
how
two
about
in the
that?
second half. Two in the second half that we desperately needed.
Yeah. Man.
30 and 32 yards, but he actually hit the game-winning one twice.
Yep. No problem.
Because he got froze, got frozen or whatever.
Kind of
Iced. No, frozen. But yeah, he hit them both. Jack Stevens. What a name.
Yes.
Jack
Good one.
Stevens. Idaho's kicker missed one, and that's why they're sad. Also, again, I'm gonna point back to it. I was wondering. One of the first questions I asked when I was just shooting the shit with Jamie when I saw him on Saturday was like, how is he? How is Rogers in like game theory? Like, is he gonna go for it on fourth like we saw even Dickert do? And he said, yeah, I think he mostly goes by like the same book that Dickert went by, and not a lot of coaches, like even the ones that are aggressive, like 4th and 3 from the 6. A lot of coaches take the points, especially with a defensive coach will be like, oh, we're just not going to give up any points. But obviously they went for it and they got it, and we might be singing a little bit different tune if they didn't score 7 on that drive.
Yeah.
And so because so really glad they went for it there, and really glad that Potter and Meredith executed it, and we got to celebrate one touchdown on the opening Cougar football. And I will say,
shot.
as someone who has seen us in person lose to FCS teams twice, I was sitting there being like, I do not want on my Coug, because I wasn't here. I wasn't in person watching us lose to Idaho in 99 and 2000. Also,
Yeah.
Idaho was FBS then. They were pretty decent. They had some decent FBS teams around that time. But I was like, I don't even care if Idaho's ranked. I do not want losing to Idaho on my on my in-person fan bingo card right now. Please win this damn game.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do not want to see us lose this fucking game. It was my buddy Corey's 40th birthday. We gotta give him a happy memory.
Yeah. That would've been horrible.
That. Just don't lose at that point. Like when you get to the second half and it's close, you're like, okay, we're not gonna pull away here.
Yeah.
And then we fuck up and they tie it. And
Which, by the way, they only tied it because they chickened out and didn't go for the touchdown. Thank goodness.
exactly,
I mean,
exactly,
probably
almost
wouldn't have
exact
gotten
same
it,
scenario.
but also might have. They chickened out.
But yeah, when WSU fumbled that ball, and it's late in the fourth, and the Idaho fans went ape shit,
Yeah.
and the WSU fans went silent. Like we were just like, oh my god! And there was a lot of Idaho fans. They always
I
is.
saw
That bowl is always full. That's why I kind of like. I like the Idaho games because it's always a good atmosphere.
Yep.
I was in the club and there was a few Idaho fans sprinkled. They're usually with their WSU friends.
Right.
And it was I also saw you could grab a club ticket for $65 on one of the sites right before the game. But yeah, that was they're doing the IDAHO, and you're like,
It's a great fight
dude.
song, by the way.
You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna watch us lose to Idaho, and
Yes.
I'm gonna go to the Coug, and there's gonna be 1,000
Happy
Idaho
Idaho
fans in the
fans,
Coug. There was
But it
just
didn't happen.
when I went to the Coug, there was 4 Idaho students sitting in the corner, and I'm like, I guess you just want to be like, what are they doing over there?
Yeah, I know.
Just see what's going.
You're like, wait, why
It's
are you
like-
here instead of? Why didn't you go back?
Then go home and be like,
Now I want to know.
the corner club is better. The corner club is better.
Yeah,
That's what they're gonna say.
Yeah. Well.
It was hot in the Coug.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was extremely hot.
But, we get by. Just have another beer.
Just
cool
hydrate.
down.
Hydrate with another
Yeah,
beer.
exactly. Hydrate with another beer. Hydrate with whatever. Wazoo won, baby. 1-0.
That's all that matters.
Idaho, sorry, you lost. Two times in a row
Thomas Ford.
2 times in a
Sorry
row
you're
they've
so mad,
almost had us.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Don't be mad.
Sorry,
Don't put it in the
Thomas.
newspaper that Thomas Ford got mad. He says as he turns into a corn cob and shrivels away. Like, what did you make of that? Like, okay, did you see any of that when you were in the stadium? All the post game stuff.
No, I was walking out.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Because I think I walked out before they made him come back, and we were so confused.
I turned the game off before that. I didn't even know. That
people.
happened
We
until
were
later.
walking out, and people are like, "The game's still going." We're like, "What? No, it's not." I saw they shot the cannon. It's over.
No,
what are you talking about?
The ref said that he had a fair catch signal, which he definitely did not. So it was, those refs were horrible. Like, not horrible as in Pac-12 ref horrible, which is what we've gotten used to. These guys just had no idea what they were doing. Like, they were just making errors all over the place. It was so unbelievably just like a total clown show with those guys. Yeah. Okay, so after the game, so on TV, I know what I saw there, and it's like,
well, I saw the replay.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So apparently Tucker Large, our favorite named player, who is not at all large actually, was talking shit or something, and this apparently made Thomas Ford upset. Thomas Ford, by the way, for those who don't know, who are listening, he's the coach for Idaho. Brother of Tracy Ford. If you don't know who Tracy Ford is one of the foremost football trainers in Western Washington. Works with a lot of potential recruits and things like that. So anyway, Tracy Ford has been known to get pretty mad about certain things that really probably aren't worth getting mad about. Like, he came to our pro day last year and he wasn't allowed in because he didn't have a credential, and apparently he took affront to that. Thomas Ford apparently did not like that Tucker Large was talking some shit after his players were dirty as fuck all game, and after his quarterback got 2 personal foul penalties, and his running back should have gotten one on the sideline for punching a defensive lineman in the head, but the fat ref was 10 steps behind, didn't see it, and so it's just I'm you're gonna, it's like the old methinks they doth protest too much, right? It's sort of wait a second, I feel like I'm being gaslit here, that wait, your team was the one that was being come on, man.
Tucker did swipe a mouth guard out of someone's
He
mouth.
did. But only after Idaho was talking shit and being chippy all game.
Yeah.
Which I get.
Yeah.
I totally get. Right, it's for them.
The clip's pretty funny. Just boop.
I know it sounds horrible and it sounds so condescending, and I know I get it. For them, this is a big game, and I'm not trying to sound condescending. I am trying to say they are an FCS school. We are an FBS school. Beating us means a lot more to them than beating them means to us, just because of that dynamic, period, full stop, right?
Well,
so
losing to them means a lot more to us than losing to us means to them. I'll tell you that much.
You can put it that way too. And it's okay, so it's not a shock that our, their emotions would be cranked up higher than our emotions. And I mean, you can say the same thing about an Apple Cup, right? I think, you and I were at the game last year. I don't know how well it was felt on TV, but, you could definitely feel that Wazoo was, chippy and bringing it, and UW maybe wasn't quite prepared for that.
And we as fans, as fans in the crowd were chippy and bringing it in.
Yes,
for sure.
And so I just think that same dynamic was at play here. And so then if you're going to do that and then you lose, I mean, you probably should just take it, and maybe not get in somebody's face afterward, or
the game's over.
In your face, maybe just put your head down and walk away or something. I don't know.
Weird that you saw something very similar on Sunday night.
I know.
Where someone lost and
I know.
that's
Bad
when they
losers,
wanted
man.
to get mad.
Thomas Ford's a big damn baby. You can put that in the newspaper. Worry about your own damn team, motherfucker.
Yeah. But hey, gotta give it to the Idaho players. They almost fucking did it.
Yeah,
honestly,
they did.
If they get a touchdown on that last drive when they had us down pinned after the fumble.
Yep.
Yeah, they turned the ball over what 3 times?
3 times.
And
Yep.
still almost beat Wazoo in Pullman. For the would have been the first time in 25 years. They didn't though, and the last 2 times they've gotten really freaking close, and I'm just happy that we are 1-0, because honestly, the last time I sat and watched WSU barely beat Idaho, next week I was in Wisconsin, in Madison, watching WSU beat Wisconsin.
Yep.
So we know that these first games, and I'll say this, especially in the portal era, especially in the NIL era, these first games are going to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
We had 75 new players. I know that, 25 of those were on the same team last year with each other, but still, there's not as many South Dakota State players in the starting lineups as you think. It's maybe on defense there's probably like four or five. But the defense looked great. Like you said earlier, the one that had where a lot of Jimmy's guys are, that squad looked great. Like they looked every bit as advertised. The offense, obviously, lots to worry about. If we play like offense like that the rest of the year, this might be the only win. But maybe not, because the defense is just could get better. But the offense has got to get better, because they're just it's the blocking has to get better. Like you said, there's talent there, and everything's got to get better. At least that's the hopeful idea. And so next we have San Diego State, who WSU narrowly beat last year on a last-second comeback, which you pointed out. Some people were talking about the mental toughness of Wazoo compared to in the Dickert era under Rogers, that they would have folded. Well, we saw last year San Jose State, San Diego State,
Up until
Alamo
November.
Cup, all these games
Or the end of November.
where they pulled it out in tough situations in the end up until November, where we did see Dickert had a trouble keeping a team engaged through adversity on a lot over the course of a season multiple times. Obviously 2 years, his last 2 years just saw them tank. All 3 years, I don't know. But no, that's 2 years. But it was, I don't think that was anything. But San Diego State now coming up to Pullman, they handled their FCS opponent easily, 42-0, really dominated them in any stat you look at. Stony Brook, now we don't know how good Idaho is. They have a lot of new players. They have a new coach, but as we said last, they recruited a lot of, decent guys, and they were ranked 12th. And so we can just kind of assume, if the FCS voters know what they're talking about, that Idaho's a lot better than Stony Brook. Idaho's been better than Stony Brook recently. But San Diego State did handle them like the way that you like to handle FCS teams. And they have what's really different. What's the headline here is how they're different from last year is the quarterback, Jaden Denegal. Is that how you say his name?
It's me.
It could be Denegal. I'm not sure. but he is a transfer from Michigan. And he was like a backup at Michigan. He threw 5 career passes at Michigan. But he is kind of the guy they're excited about. I don't, there's nothing from the stats. This is his first ever start. So I don't know if he is the risk of running like Idaho's quarterback Wood was. He ran 7 times for 16 yards and didn't get sacked at all against Stony Brook. So no big plays. I think his longest run was like 5 or something. So if you're worried about that, I don't know. You know, I have that's the only game against Stony Brook. Maybe he just had no desire to run, no desire to scramble, didn't need to because they're moving the ball really well. So it's hard to read this off of, you know, like one game. But he does seem talented. They're excited about him. Obviously, he was a Michigan recruit. We did talk about last week how down transfers aren't always what they cracked up to be. And they often are quarterbacks. But he, so far so good for them. So that's got to worry about. Obviously last year, San Diego State was very defense and run game focused. And so this could be a real grinder of a game.
Yeah. I mean, they ran the ball 54 times in the first game.
Yeah.
And passed the ball 25. So, whether that's just, hey, we can do this to Stony Brook, or whether that's what they actually want to do. I mean, I think there is some sense that they actually do want to run the ball more than half the time, which of course is unusual, but also would seem to play into what we did well in week 1. So that's fine. I mean, the new quarterback, Denegal or whatever, however you pronounce it, he was 13 of 25. So yeah, he was just a hair over 50%, threw a touchdown, whatever. He was not good throwing the ball. There's no way I guess his yards per attempt was like 8 or something, but I don't know. I don't know how much you read into any of this, other than
he had a long of 44, so they had a big throw.
So,
it was really their running game.
Yeah.
They were just grinding.
Yeah.
It wasn't big plays in the running game either.
Yeah. So, I don't know how much you read into that. What I do know is we opened as a 6.5 point favorite, and it's now 1.5. Now I do know that, week 1 to week 2 in college football is kind of where you see the most overreaction with lines, and you see the most kind of crazy stuff where people are just like way overreacting to week 1. I think that's the case here. I don't know, man. Like, if you thought that going into the week or going into the year that the Cougs were a touchdown better than them, I don't know what you would have seen in week 1 that would make you think they weren't. I guess, WSU's offense struggled, okay, but the defense was way better than we maybe anticipated. And then in the offensive stuff, like, to me, like, if you watched the game, which I understand that, a lot of the folks making these lines don't, a lot of people placing bets don't, they just sort of look at the score and, whatever. But like, if you watched the game, you would look at that offensive, just sort of like all of it, the play calling, the situational decisions, and you would just go, that was janky. like that was, it was like, I don't know. I think I used the word schizophrenic in the newsletter. Like, it was just sort of like all over the place. And again, it felt a lot like a preseason game, like in the NFL or something, where you're trying to, let's put this guy here or that guy there, or call this play and see what happens. And how does he respond? It just felt like a lot of that. And I think that go from week 1 to week 2, I think they will have a much better sense of what it is that they do well, how they can put their players in positions to execute to the best of their ability. And I think we're going to see a big jump forward from the offense. And, I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean I think that they're like tons better than San Diego State, but, I don't think that, I'm walking into this game thinking, oh no, we're we're going to get run off the field or something. Like I don't see that.
Yeah.
I feel good about this one, and it's homecoming in early September. So hopefully
Second
put
game
up a
of the
good
year.
showing for all the alumni that are coming.
Yeah. It's interesting because they ran the ball a lot. They have Lucky Sutton. He's their primary back. He had 23 carries for 100 yards. Overall, they ran the ball 54 times for 4.2 yards a carry. There could have been definitely some stuff at the end. Yeah,
That's
there
not
definitely
good.
could have been. I don't know if there could have been some kneel downs at the end. I don't really know. But it would probably not because the quarterback only had 1 yard of loss. They only had 3 1-yard loss plays, so they didn't lose yards much. They just weren't making big yards. One thing to note, they had their punter had no issues. 4 punts, 52 yards a punt. It also seems like they subbed him in on the kickoffs, and he just kicked 4 touchbacks. Maybe they rotate because it's weird. They rotated their place kicker also did kick the ball off 4 times, and their punter kicked the ball off 4 times. That's weird. It's just a weird thing. That doesn't happen very often. Wonder if they have like situational. Sometimes they want to like kick it into the corner, and sometimes they want to just boot it out the back. I don't know. Interesting though, but yeah, it's again like we know more about WSU than last week, but just knowing so many WSU teams that I've seen play awful in the first game that turned out to be really good teams, like it's just hard to and then WSU teams that looked amazing in the first game and turned out to be trash, and so it's just hard to there's obviously WSU teams that look terrible in the first game and then turned out to be terrible, but there's still like you don't really know that much. So we know a little bit more. You never really know that much in football because there's not that many games. That's why we think like last year we thought a team was potentially going to the college football playoff halfway through the season, and no, they did not. They lost to some really bad teams down the stretch. But yeah, so we don't know. San Diego State's going to be tougher than Idaho, probably, and they have like more talent, a little bit bigger, so it's going to be tougher. So the offense is going to have to play better. Like we can't just, especially this defense is like San Diego State's probably just be running the ball into our defense over and over again, trying to wear us down. Offense has got to stay on the field longer. Got to give them if this goes as both coaches want it to go, this is probably going to be a very limited possession game. Like 12, 13, 14 possessions. Like if both teams are running the ball as much as they did the first game, there's potential for just a real quick game happen in this one. So yeah, Jeff, I don't know what there is more to say about it. Like San Diego State had a decent defense last year. They look like they, through one game. Yeah, probably have pretty good defense again. Like they looked real good against Stony Brook. They held them to 1.8 yards a rush. I don't know what sacks are involved in that. I think there was a couple sacks. So, but still, yeah, their Stony Brook's running backs didn't do much. Their quarterbacks were 9 for 25 for 46 yards. There was 3 sacks. The running backs, didn't really. None of the running backs averaged more than 3.8 yards a carry against Stony Brook. So San Diego State's defense looks good. WSU's defense looks good. If WSU's defense doesn't play better, or WSU's yeah, of course it'd be like 55 to 54.
Take the over.
But no, so yeah, like we'll go into that. The predictions. I said I would go first this week, Jeff, after you went first last week.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stick with this not being a shootout. I will. What is the line? Like it's gotta the total's gotta be like under 40 or something for this. I imagine
maybe. Uh-oh. It's reloading. Sorry. Just start talking. I'll tell you. In a second.
40,
It's
40
back up.
45. I see 45
That's very
is one
low.
I see. That's very low. But also, like, I don't know if I'm going to pick over that, and I'm not. I'm going to go 17-14 Cougs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking this
I
goes
really think
higher
it's the
than-
home field advantage. The home field
Yeah.
advantage gets
I
us
think it
over
goes
as
higher
we're still trying to figure shit out. Okay.
I think that so if you I don't know if you remember this, but a year ago, well, it was almost a year, less than a year ago, little less than a year ago, when we played at San Diego State, we had a lot of the same analysis. They want to run the ball, they want to do this, and then of
It
course
was
they
in
came
late
out-
October.
Yeah, they came out and threw it all over the place, especially
They
early.
did.
So I would not be shocked if I don't know if they tried to do something like that again, because we were like, well, no way they would try to do that with the quarterback. He throws a bunch of interceptions and and then of course he didn't until the end, which was great.
Yeah.
But like up until that point, like he looked fantastic, right? And we looked kind of like suckers for thinking they were going to, run the ball 60% of the time or whatever. So I don't know on this one. I will say that the fact that the quarterback was really at about 50% gives me pause as to what they actually might be able to do if he, I don't know the coach, Sean Lewis, known as a pretty innovative offensive mind, which is cool for them. But there's only so much you can do if your quarterback is struggling to complete passes, right? So I think it's going to be a tick higher scoring. I'm going to say something like 27-21 Cougs, walk away with the win there, winning by roughly a touchdown, and getting just barely hitting the over, I think is what I'm going to suggest. So that's what I think.
All right. Our scores aren't as close as they normally are.
Yeah, I know.
We both picked the Cougs to win, so
Of course we did.
no idiot gifts for us this week. You can send us idiot gifts. Don't send us idiot gifts if the Cougs lose.
Yeah,
We're
don't
already
do
sad.
that.
We don't
Don't
need
do
that.
Yeah, nobody needs that.
Yeah. I only want the idiot gifts when I pick the Cougs to lose and we win.
Yes.
And then I'm like, hell yeah, I'm an idiot.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Make fun of me a lot.
So yeah, we are going long. I told you, Jeff. I told you.
I know.
So Jeff, now that we talked about football and we talked about how great this WSU offense is, what are you drinking?
All right. Well, I am
saw.
drinking the king of beers, Old Crimson Legendary Lager, because I had some in my fridge and I was hustling to get home so that we could record this, and I didn't get a chance to stop by Rainier Growlers for another beer. So there we go. It was in my fridge. That's what I got. Old Crimson Legendary Lager, which we have obviously had on the show many times before,
But
and we have reviewed, and it
we
is delicious.
I have it on
Should buy it.
every show since it's been released, I'm pretty sure. But yes, it's the greatest beer of all time. You
Agreed.
should buy it. Even $11 for it in the WSU club, still worth it. It's the greatest beer of all time. I am having Voney Bear triple dry hopped volatile substance. Now, volatile substance is Voney Bear's like flagship IPA. It's an excellent IPA. I highly recommend if you see it. It's got their logos like this boar type thing. They're out of the Portland area. They call it a Northwest India Pale Ale. And then this year they've been making like variants on it. And when I was down in Oregon a couple weeks ago, I grabbed this one. It's very tasty. It's not too insanely different than the original. Probably a little bit more on the nose. But yeah, it's very good. Highly recommend if you want a real good like clean IPA. The Voney Bear Volatile Substance. I think it's kind of was modeled after like Fort George Vortex, like the classic Northwest IPAs like that. But it's excellent. Highly, yeah. I think you can get like the regular 6-packs of Volatile Substance up in the Puget Sound area. I'm pretty sure at least. But yeah, really good brewery. crushing those clean IPA games, which I love.
Yes, I do.
So yeah, and then in a second I'm gonna open this old Crimson, which is in this nice Yeti can cooler right now with a Cougar logo on it that I don't know
Nice.
how I acquired. I don't know where this came from. I asked multiple people, "Did you get this for me for a present?" And they're like, "No." And so I do not know. It just randomly appeared, this Yeti can cooler with a badass Cougar logo on the front of it.
It sounds like the beer fairy himself was visited by the beer fairy.
Yeah, seriously. Like I've asked multiple people, like, "You got this for me, right? Or did you leave this at my house or something?" And they're like, "No, I don't know." I also got Jeff. You got this. You got me this one, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I got you that guy.
Yeah,
I got one of those
the Go
downstairs.
Cougs. The Go Cougs. This one's cool because it can do a big can
Yes.
and a little can.
Yes.
Because it's got the little insert for the little can
Yep.
too.
Little brew
So it's I see these versions of these things, TikTok advertisements constantly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so beer. Quickly, the other sports, WSU soccer, a pair of 1-1 draws this weekend against Idaho in
one
the
of
QB
them
Dome,
better than the other.
and then against one of them better, and then against number 13 Georgia at home on Sunday. I think it's pretty clear after 3 games what plagues this team has what plagued this team for the last basically going on 5 seasons at this point.
Yeah, for like 5-6 years.
Yeah, since
Scoring goals.
whenever Morgan left and then Trinity never played here. It's been scoring goals, and so they've got 2 goals through 3 games, 3 matches so far. They got an early goal against Georgia and then gave up the lead in the second half. Georgia dominated the shots, shots on goal, and then WSU dominated the fouls. So just as someone who's been watching quite a bit of soccer over the last few years, I can tell you how that game was going. But to get a 1-1 draw in there, that's fine. It's just that if you're also like losing to Utah State, which probably be a decent team, but it'd be nice to get something better out of that. And then you're just drawing with Idaho. Just need to score more goals. 3 road games coming up all in California, all over the next week, starting Thursday the 4th, the 11th, and the 14th. All UC schools. They're playing all the UC schools: Berkeley, San Diego, and Irvine. So they have a nice little road trip coming up. They're going to be missing a lot of school, it seems like. But eating a lot of In-N-Out, I'm sure. Although you can get that in Ridgefield, Washington now. Right outside of Vancouver.
4 hours in line.
But it's funny, you could just drive another hour south to Kaiser, Oregon, and there's a line there, but it takes like 20 minutes.
I did see the Ridgefield line in person on Saturday, and it was as spectacular as we have been told. I've never quite seen anything.
Well, it's crazy. Even the In-N-Outs that have been there for decades in California have lines out the door, like constantly. Like it's just like an In-N-Out thing.
I know,
because you have
it sounds terrible.
They're
but
not
I'm like,
in.
It's a burger, man. It's a burger.
No, it's a burger. It's good. It's good. It's definitely good.
It's good,
but it's a
burger.
I'm not waiting an hour for hours for that, dude.
It does remind me.
But
by
they're
the way,
also
I don't know if you remember when
they're never in city. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you might have been.
They're never in cities. They're never in city centers, so that's why people they gotta drive to them. So there's need big parking lots and big drive-through lines. But anyways, in Vermont.
I was just going to say, you might have been in Vermont when this happened, but when Krispy Kreme descended on Seattle with various locations, and people would wait in massive lines to go to Krispy Kreme, and it's like, it's a fucking donut.
The first Krispy Kreme was in Issaquah, and I'm pretty sure I was in high school when that happened.
Oh, really? Yeah, I might be.
Yeah, that was.
I might be thinking
Yeah.
farther back then. Yeah, I just remember.
Do
when
you remember when
pe-
the first Sonic in Spokane was
Yep.
the first Sonic in Washington? And I remember going up to Spokane and seeing a line like
Yeah.
down the street.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Now the Krispy Kreme over here in Puyallup doesn't even exist anymore. It hasn't for years. It's been it closed and turned into a Panera. So, you know,
Don't wait in line for Panera.
no, don't do that. Volleyball.
That's definitely not worth it.
Tell us
Volleyball.
about volleyball.
So volleyball, they swept the first match against Lafayette. They lost in 4 sets to Dayton. They had a hard-fought second set that they lost. They won the first set, hard-fought second set, and then kind of got crushed in the last 2. The real tough one was Utah. They got swept, but every match was like every game was 25-22. So that's a tough sweep. Like losing by 9 total points in a sweep, that's rough. So yeah, they're 1-2. They couldn't get one of those big wins on the road against Utah or a neutral site against Dayton. Both of them were ranked going in, so that was a bummer. For Jen, we gotta how cross country do. Are you looking, Jeff?
I'm looking. Let's see.
We gotta give that cross country update because they had a good one last year.
Yeah, it's not. The hard part is it's not
last
as
week.
it's not as simple as just like looking at a score
No.
on a website. I gotta click the recap here. Let's see. Sophomores Evans Kurui and Rosemary Longisa each smashed the event records at the season opening WSU Alumni Open at Colfax Golf Club. So Longisa won the women's 4-kilometer race in her first collegiate cross-country race in 12 minutes and 54.4 seconds, 15 seconds faster than the second-place finisher. That sounds pretty fucking good to me. 11 seconds better than the previous best at the meet. It's pretty good. Men's 6K event. Karui, 15-second win over second-place finisher Solomon God, I'm butchering. I know I'm butchering these. Solomon Kipchoge. Karui, 12 seconds faster than the previous record in the event. Second consecutive year, he shattered the event record. So way to go, man. First year at WSU since transferring from Texas Tech. So how about that? Oh, Kipchoge. Sorry, that was the second place finisher. It's from Texas Tech. So yeah. So that's cool.
Cool. I once did a couple times when I lived in Nashville. Yazoo would do barely a 4K beer run. When I heard a 4K, I didn't even know a 4K was a thing. I did barely a 4K beer run. I have a shirt still from it. You just run 4K, which is like just over 2 miles, something like that. 2.5 miles, roughly around there. And then you just get back and have a beer at the brewery. Those good times.
Those good times.
I was young. I probably could have had a beer while I was running, and I wouldn't have cared. I thought I was fat back then. I think I weighed like 215. You had no idea. You had no idea all the pounds you could put on, little Craig.
Yeah. That's good. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Comes for us all.
Well, Jeff. Yep, it does. And it's a lot harder to get it going the other direction the older you get. I'll tell you that much, especially when you have kids. Oh, my God. So anyways, Jeff, I guess, big sports this weekend. Homecoming. Enjoy it, all the people going to homecoming. I September 6th, homecoming.
Yeah.
God, Jesus. Anyways, Jeff, go fucking Cougs.
Go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Join a union. Support a union.
Join a union.
Shop at union stores on this Labor Day week. And
buy all the old Crimson stuff.
Yeah, buy some Old Crimson. I got Old Crimson coffee.
I got the
coming in
wine.
the mail, too.
I
You
ordered
got
the wine.
All right, I'm gonna have to
Yep.
try that out.
And I bought some coffee at what the artist formerly known as Dismore's.
Rose Hours. All right, Craig.
Sorry.
Goodbye.